Yeah, welcome everybody. I'm, as I just said, quite happy to be here, and today I'll talk about CEL, Common Expression Language, and how we can work with it on using Kyverno. My name is Koray. I work for Kubermatic as consultant and trainer. I'm located in Turkey. I'm working remotely from Istanbul. I'm CNCF ambassador and Cube astronaut. I'm also part of the organizing teams for KCD Istanbul and DevOps Days Istanbul. I also do contributions to the Kubernetes project on Case Infra and API Sonok Verify Conformance sub projects. And yeah, I'm also quite interested in supply chain security, and hence Kyverno is one of the topics that I like talking about, in addition to GitOps and Kubernetes in general. So here we are. So to start with, Kubernetes loves CEL, Common Expression Language. There has been some development in the recent releases. So does Kyverno too. Kyverno loves it as well. So what is CEL? That's the probably the first question that we need to answer. So it's from Google. It's a Common Expression Language. It stands for. You can visit it on cel.dev website. It is a small language. It's fast, portable, extensible. We will talk about the extensions today later, and it's safe. So you may not have security problems based on the CEL expressions. We are on Kubernetes and also on cloud. We want everything to be declarative, and you simply have declarative expressions, and these are evaluated during the runtime when things are running. I put a link about a common expression language in Kubernetes. So Kubernetes documentation, there is a quite nice explanation how you can use it with Kubernetes, apart from Kyverno. And the notable stuff from Kubernetes is that since version 125, you can use CEL in CRD validation rules. And since 130, you can use it with validating admission policy. So these are, there are some other places that you can use CEL in Kubernetes. So these are the things that are shipped with the Kubernetes. You don't need to install anything extra on your cluster. But there are also a couple of more stuff that you can do. So how it looks like, or what does the language looks like? So it has some functions. It has some macros that you can use it. And for example, here, this string, so this is supposed to be a image URL. If it starts with ghcrio, that's the case, and it returns true. If this string ends with latest, then it's also true. So it evaluates an expression and then returns in the end, eventually returns true or false, so that you can use this with your policies. It will be it will fail or it will be successful in the end. There are also some macros, as I mentioned. For example, there is a macro called all. You can have a list of strings, and for each of them, you can check if they are all start with ghcrio. In this case, it's false because one of them starts with docker.io, so things fail here. By the way, last week I was in Hamburg for Container Days, and there was a talk from Victor Quadrado about CEL as well. He's KubeWarden maintainer, so his talk was more about CEL and KubeWarden. Today it will be about CEL and Kyverno, but I stole a couple of examples from his talk, to be honest, but I think the examples are will explain things quite well. So Again, going back to the code here, because one of them does not start with GHCRIO, this expression will result in a false. You can also do mapping. So if you have such a list with container name, container image for each, you can first map all the container images. So this will create a list for you, and you can go through the list and check if all of them start with GHCRIO or whatever you want to have. So in this case, this one will return true because both container images starts with GHCR.io. So yeah, map and all these are the things. So what you can do, you can call functions and macros depending on each other. So from the result of the map, you use the result of the map to all macro and continue with your expression. And you can also have like logical AND, logical OR, XOR, etc., and of course not or to make true false or false true. So for example, if you don't want to allow latest tag in your containers, and also you want to make sure that the container image is downloaded from a certain registry, you can say that, yeah, I want it to be downloaded from this registry, and I don't want it to end with latest. So this statement without the exclamation mark will return to true, will return true because it ends with latest, but because we don't want it, we make it negative, so it's false. And since this is a logical AND, it will return false. As I said, CEL is from Google, and on their GitHub there is a language definition. I have to say that the documentation or the information is scattered a bit. It's not well designed, or I mean, the feeling I have is that it is an internal documentation for the people who knows things a little bit, but not for an open source project to understand by everyone. It's not bad, but you need to search, find a little bit, and then it's sometimes hard to find what you're looking for. However, there are some playgrounds that you can use. This is one of the examples. I think there are more. So what you can do, you can just put the expression you want to have. This is the example that I just used. And this results, as I said, the output is a list now with the two container image names. So the second part that I added, the all, it goes on all the containers here, or container image names here. Yeah, it will return true. So before you apply anything or create your policies, you can just test if it is what you actually looking for. And in the same playground, there are some examples already. For example, to disallow host port, and if you also provide the input, yeah, you have to start with object and then just give the YAML of the object if you're creating a deployment or pod or whatever you want to work on. And then you can test things here. And for example, in this case, it returns false because here we either want container not to have ports defined, or it has host ports, and host port doesn't have so it either does not have ports at all. If it has ports, it doesn't have host port, or if also has host port, it is defined as 0. If one of them fails, then yeah, it's just false. So you can test things like that. So far, what I mentioned, it's the CEL language. You can use these things, for example, with validating admission policy on Kubernetes. You don't need Kyverno up to now. So I just talked about the generic part in general, but how we can implement this on the Kyverno side, that's I think the main question. For example, if you want to disable or disallow image tag, or don't want to use latest tag, with the default Kyverno implementation, you need to do a for each for all containers defined in that deployment or pod, and then look for either image tag, image pattern is like that, or it is not, it doesn't end with latest. So what you hear is that a tag is defined because there's a semicolon in between, so we know that there's a tag. And the second one is that it is not latest. That's good, but for both matches, you need to get the pods, so you repeat the same sentences with only the pattern change. But if you prefer to use CEL or with CEL, what we get is, I think, looks more readable. So you simply get the object spec containers all. You go all containers, and each container image contains either semicolon or it doesn't end with latest. So, and if you want to have another rule, or you can just add another expression here. So it looks smaller, the number of lines, and from my perspective, it is more readable. I'm not saying that this is bad, this is wrong. It totally works. It's fine. It's great. This is what we've been using so far. I don't have any problem with it. But the one on the right with CEL, I think it looks better and more readable. Another thing is that CEL. With CEL, you can do some stuff dynamically based on things in the cluster. So here you can reference a parameter, or like you have a parameter or a variable based on an object inside the cluster. So what I'm saying here is that I have a parameter. It's a config map called replica limit. And if the parameter not found, just deny this. So if this config map does not exist, it will deny the request. You don't have to deny everything. Depends on what you want to do with this policy. But here you are saying that the expression is the object that we want to create, spec replicas, is less than or equal to params data max replicas. This is the max replicas thing in the config map. Then it's fine. If not, if this fails, then your deployment will be denied. So this is the config map, how the config map looks like. So you just set max replicas to 3, let's say. You cannot have a deployment with a replica of 4 or 5 or 10 or whatever. So this would help you to have your environments, have your code dry. You can define these things on your environment. So, for example, on the test environment, to have, let's say, less workload or less, because probably your test environment is smaller than production, you can say that, yeah, for each deployment, maximum 3 replicas. You may want to test high availability, but you don't want people to create tens of replicas per application. But on the production, you can say that max replicas 10 or more, whatever your limits there, so that you would use the same policy for all environments, but with a config map or any other object. It could be a CRD or secret. You can just create your CRDs. There's a blog post on Kyverno website that also shows an example with a custom object, like limit replicas, something like that. So you can define those things per environment, and your policy will always be the same policy file. You simply don't hard code those kind of numbers or magic values inside your policies. So that's also a very nice thing to work with. There's one more thing that I want to show, but I will first show it and then talk how that one works. And for that, yeah. So I have a kind cluster. Kyverno is already deployed. I don't have any policies. I have nothing deployed there. And Ingress, I also don't have any Ingress. So what I want to have is that, so I have an Ingress which has two hosts defined, foo.com and bar.com. Let's create this one, Ingress 1. And then I have a second Ingress which uses host as bar.com. Let's create this one as well. Ingress 2. Target Ingress. Now you'll see that I have two Ingresses, but they use the same host name here, both of them. So this is wrong. This shouldn't have happened. To be honest, I don't know how Ingress works. I think probably load balance or sends traffic to both of them. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But this is not something we want to have, right? So with a Kyverno policy using CEL, you can check the defined ingresses, and if that host is already defined, then you can just reject that one. So yeah, by default, you're able to create that sort of ingress. As you have seen, it's created. I will first create the policy and then talk about it later. So how it works will come in validating policy YAML. Yeah. Now, if I want to have Ingress 2 YAML, now my policy says that policy unique ingress host failed because you cannot use a host across multiple ingresses. So because I try to use bar.com again here, the policy denied it. I have a third ingress just to show you that. So this has a different host, foobar.com. If I try to apply this one, this is fine. So it doesn't just reject any sort of ingress request, but only because I have bar.com for the second one as well. So the idea is that, I mean, you can use this. I think this is a nice feature, but the good part is that here you are able to query an object inside your cluster and take an action based on that value. So you can just say that, no, you can't do this, or maybe you can just report it and then see what happens. And then the question is, how is that happening? As I said at the very beginning, CEL is extendable, and Kyverno has already defined some extended libraries, extended CEL functions. So there are there's the resource library, HTTP library, user library. I mean, you can check all of those in the documentation. They all work for a different purpose. And the one I used was the resource library, where I list all resources. In my example, I listed the ingresses and check the items and see, and then went through those. I'll come to that. The important part is that feature state is alpha as of Kyverno version 1.15. but yeah, in especially in the last two releases, 1.14 and 1.15, there has been quite some development around CEL on Kyverno side, and I think this will continue. With those things, also these things, the different policy types are introduced, like validating policy, image validating policy, generating policy, deleting policy, etc. It used to be only cluster policy and policy, but now we have different policy types as well. I will not go into details of this. You can check the documentation, but yeah, these are also in the alpha state as of Kyverno 1.15. So this is the policy that I used. So I released all the Ingress resources on all namespaces. So this third parameter is the namespace. You can check per namespace as well. So for example, I could have used object dot metadata dot namespace, so that I could have checked if they're in the same namespace, like with the incoming request. So I get all the items or value an empty list. If there are not any ingresses defined, this one will make sure that there will be an empty list returned. So I assigned this to a variable called known ingresses. So now with CEL, with this validating policy. So yeah, here you see the kind is validating policy now. For the example, I use this one. And now I have another variable, which the expression depends on the previous variable. So for the known ingresses, I map everything and go to the spec.rules and check for the host. So this second expression will return a list of hosts that are already defined in the cluster. Just as a reminder, this is the get all ingress list. So I go to spec, so spec.rules.host. And there could be, of course, multiple hosts. So that's why I do a map and get all of them. And the desired host, so this is the one that we are trying to create. The ingress with is the object. So this is the object that you are trying to create, spec rules host. These are the variables that I use. I create during the, how do you say, the whole expression during the check. And then there is the validation part. So what I'm saying is that if the known hosts exist one, so if there's already an existing host, and if this intersects with desired hosts, so if the desired host somehow is inside the already known hosts, we change it. So if this is true, we need to make it false so that the policy will fail. It just says that cannot reuse a host across multiple ingresses. I believe this is quite powerful thing to have. This is just an example with Ingress, but something comes to my mind is that, for example, you can create a config map. So for example, you have multi-tenants and you don't want one of your tenants to make changes on the deployments or stateful sets or whatever in the pods because they didn't pay the money or whatever reason. You want to take them into a maintenance mode or something. You can create a config map with the namespace, like the maintenance mode namespaces, etc. If the incoming request has the namespace as this, you can just fail the request saying that, sorry, you are in the maintenance mode, you can make changes to your deployments. Just an example that comes to my mind. So the idea is that you can query things inside your cluster, and your policy can make a decision based on those objects or the values of those objects. I think I talked a bit fast, but yeah, In the end, CEL enables dynamic context-aware policies. As we saw with the latest tag check, there is less repetition and you are more in control with the different functions. This the states, I mean, some of things are in the alpha state, of course, on Kyverno side, but the logic is production ready. The CEL language is like production ready, and it's also in the YAML native form. So today I had a chat with a colleague, and I was saying that, yeah, I'll talk about CEL, etc. And the first question he asked, well, is also Kyverno getting a new language like Rigo and OPA? I was like, no, this is not a new language that is specific to Kyverno. It's something generic, and Kyverno just adds it to the features. Maybe eventually it will be the default, but I don't know how the feature will look like. But you're still in the YAML native form. You don't. I mean, you're still in Kyverno, what Kyverno stands for, or what it does with the on the Kubernetes. These don't change, and you keep your expressions simple and quite readable, in my opinion. Some people might prefer the other way. I'm not judging. It's fine. It works. Again, it's not like this is the better. You should not use the old way. This is the right way. It's not like that. But I think this is quite powerful, and it brings some nice opportunities to Kyverno and Kubernetes in general, not only to Kyverno, but Kubernetes in general. So as Courtney said, at Kubermatic, we love Kyverno. We also integrated it in our product so in some ways. So this is all I have today. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, mail, or whatever platform you prefer. I hope the opening was nice and people were got some ideas about this one. Yeah, Courtney's here. Okay, thanks. I see there are some comments here.
I am here. This is a fantastic opening. Thank you. Thank you so much. Around your question around CEL and Kyverno, we are not getting a new language as such, but we are trying to align ourselves with Kubernetes, right? We understand that this is where the majority of folks spend their time and move, and so we're trying to align as much as possible.
Exactly, yeah. And I think it is the right way to do, and again, it brings nice features and power to Kyverno as well.
Yeah, we're thrilled to see folks, especially teams like Kubermatic, starting to use these types of policies. And with our new policy types, we hope to be able to help people across a even broader array of use cases.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a fantastic start because this is where everything is moving, is into common expression language. And so really, really nice to start the day this way. Do you have a couple of questions here? The first question was from Angelo, and he was asking about where will the config map be, and Christian chimed right in, obviously an end user of Kyverno, with you can define the namespace on your own and a link to the libraries to be able to do that. So thanks so much for chiming in there, Christian. That's fantastic. In the Q&A is where we're going to pull our questions from. So we'll give everyone a couple of minutes if you have anything that you want to put in there. Our first one is, does CEL work for mutations too? And yes, it does. No. I'll let you go ahead and talk about that a little bit, Koray.
For mutations, I think it doesn't work at the moment, is it?
It does.
It does. Okay. So sorry. That's okay. I'm following behind. Sorry.
That's why I'm here.
Thank you.
Is why I'm here. Yeah, mutations are live now with our 1.15 release.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, lagging behind a little bit. It wasn't possible before, yeah. So
it wasn't
1.15.
possible before our 1.15 release, and now it's totally possible to use use mutations. You can actually, we have 5 different new policy types that all became live with our 1.15 release. So you can validate, mutate, generate, do image verification, and also clean up your clusters. So
perfect. Yeah, thanks. So I also learned something new, right? That's the reason why we have those kind of conferences, right? I mean, it's not that the person on the stage also learns new things with the questions, with the comments. So
the comments, that's exactly right. We've got a couple more. What's the impact of using common expression language based policies in terms of resource overhead?
Well, yeah, in the end, it depends. I think so. The one with the Ingress example, for example, if you need to check something inside the cluster, then you go to you ask to Kubernetes API, if it is there, what the values, etc. So that's an extra call, I would say. But other than that, I think, just for the if image name starts with, ends with, etc., those, I don't think there is a much overhead.
Yeah, we've been doing extensive research on this, obviously, because we do have so many users who are starting to move into this space. And what we've discovered is there's actually a reduction in overhead using common expression language.
I couldn't find any data about it. I was expecting that, but I also didn't want to say it this way. Because the language is quite small and it runs quite fast. This is what the Google says as well. So yeah, if you are not querying anything else, just for the simple ones, again, it starts with, end with, etc. Those are, according to Courtney and Nirmata, I think those are a little bit faster.
They are a bit faster. I don't think we have actually shared much detail about this, but because also it's quite new for us. Our 1.15 release
true.
has been very recent, but we will definitely share more, because I'm certain that there's a lot of people doing exactly this. And then we have one more question asking if we can explain about KKP Enterprise Edition, and more than happy to have those conversations. Please join our Kyverno Slack channel and ask your question there, and somebody from our team can jump on and give you some information about that. Cool. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm fine. I mean, I hope it was informative for people, and I enjoyed it. And now my talk is over. I can relax and watch the other ones.
That's right. And now you can enjoy the rest of KyvernoCon.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, and
please also join our Slack channel. I'm sure there will be more people with questions there, and I'll let you enjoy the rest of the show, and we'll call up our next speaker.
Yeah, thank you very much. See you.
Bye-bye.